The Democratic Convention, 5 Things to Remember. An historic contender shared real-life anecdotes. Democrats have restocked their anti-Trump strategy. The party still has a long way to go, even though magical is in the air according to Michelle Obama. The party faithful are believing in Kamala Harris, just 1 month and 24 days after the Democrats made a move. The enthusiastic 4-day convention in Chicago, which culminated in the vice president's speech on Thursday, highlighted the party's revitalized hopes against Donald J. Trump following President Biden's decision to step aside. On Thursday night, former President Donald J. Trump watched television and was unimpressed by what he saw. Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, a Democrat, had just accused him of being an unserious man, groveling to tyrants, endangering democracy, and abandoning American ideals. Go ahead and read the DNC speech that Kamala Harris gave. All right, then, let's begin. All right, let's begin. All right. First and foremost, I want to express my gratitude to my amazing spouse, Doug. Congratulations on your anniversary, Dougie, and thank you for being an amazing spouse and parent to Cole and Ella. You mean the world to me. From her prime seat in the first row at Thursday's Democratic Convention in Chicago, Amara Jagu observes her great-aunt, Vice President Kamala Harris, as she gives her acceptance speech. His proposed national sales tax, which he has dubbed the Trump tax, would increase annual prices for middle-class households by over $4,000. Ms. Harris was making reference to the tariffs that Mr. Trump has proposed, which would impose a 10 to 20% tax on the majority of imports, and a 60% tax on items manufactured in China. One of the expense estimates that she mentioned was spot on. There are estimations that are lower and estimates that are higher. After Harris brought up Project 2025, a collection of policy proposals drafted by Trump-aligned conservative groups, Trump reiterated his claim that he had not seen the document, adding, "I told them clearly I don't want to see it." In any case, Fox has allowed Trump room to defend himself in his speech against Harris's portrayal of him, and he is essentially restating his campaign trail criticisms of her. On Thursday, during her acceptance speech at the Democratic National Convention, Vice President Kamala Harris portrayed herself as a practical leader capable of bringing all Americans together in support of a new way forward. In contrast, she portrayed her opponent, former President Donald J. Trump, as an evil and unserious man whose victory would undermine American democracy. Ms. Harris, a former prosecutor, gave the longest and most severe argument she has made against Mr. Trump as a presidential candidate, maintaining a steady voice and direct look. Among the many tax cuts that former President Donald J. Trump sought throughout his campaign was an extension of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act's expiration date to next year. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that, over a 10-year period, the reduced tax revenue and increased interest expenses associated with maintaining the current tax cuts beyond 2025 will amount to over $4.6 trillion. Not only do middle-class Americans gain from the tax cuts, which include a higher standard deduction, but so do billionaires. While campaigning, Mr. Trump has also advocated for more expensive tax cuts, such as a 15% corporate tax rate, the exemption of tips from taxes, and the non-taxation of Social Security benefits. The cost of these tax cuts would be less than $5 trillion, and they would not be reserved for the very few.